Hello to everyone. How are you? This is Joanna, and today I'm going to share with you what I got from the store that I went back for today and what I got yesterday. And my little Victoria's Secret order has come in. So it'll be a mix between what I got yesterday and today. And the reason I had to go back to the store today, some of this I would have got yesterday, but I did have a lot of stuff. So I ended up going back for what I did not get yesterday, which was probably just a couple of things. And then I got a few more things as I was there. So I did get what I needed for lunch this week. So a few things that I got that won't be shown here that you've seen out of me before is I got another 6-pack of the Gold Peak Extra Sweet Tea. I got the greens that I wanted. I got 2 turnip, 2 kale, and 2 mustard. And I should have unbunched one of each of those to start with, but instead I opened both the turnip. So my greens that I'm cooking consist of 2 bunches of turnip, 1 bunch of kale, and 1 bunch of mustard. Because the pot that I had, even though it's big, I don't think it would have fit all of those. And I could have probably now rinse those and add them in what I'm cooking, but I started cooking them last night after I got them cleaned, and I'm going to be cooking them for about 3 days tomorrow. That's because I grew up watching greens be cooked and started a few days before the holiday. Like July 4th, the greens would start on the 1st, and then Christmas, the greens would start anywhere from the 21st, sometimes the 20th. And what I do is after I rinse and clean them, they're going to be like high in the pot, right? I put enough water in there just to boil them down. And then when I do that, I quarter a large white or yellow onion and just cook them down. And then I put them up that night, and then I bring them out the next day and I start cooking them real slow again, and I start adding my salt pork. Now I went to the store today to get ham hocks. They didn't have any yesterday. They had a pack of 3, and I don't need 3. I just need 1. 1 ham hock and salt pork, because I use both of those in my greens, and in my beans, white beans and black eyed peas, I just use salt pork. But I noticed the salt pork is different. It was a chunk when I was buying it before, and it appears now when I was stirring my greens up today that it's separate, almost like they sliced it. Because I used to like to take the meat from the salt pork and cut a little bit of that up in my beans and in my greens, so we'll see. But I wanted to have ham and greens, right? I only make ham during the holidays, Easter and Christmas. I rarely make a ham any other time just because to me it's a holiday meat, and it was just me and my 2 kids, and today it's just me. But I found somebody online because I wanted to make a basic glaze. When I do a ham, I do a ginger ale, a ham glaze. I do the cherries and the pineapple. And I didn't want to even do a small ham like that. I do the cloves because that's too much. Someone did a little light glaze to this ham steak, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So this is what I got. This is just enough for me because once I start making my food and I finish it up tomorrow, I'm going to have that to either take to work with me Friday or Saturday, and that's going to be good eating. So I'm going to share with you what else I got here. Because of the way I was feeling in the grocery store, I don't know what happens to me, y'all, when I go in these stores, but it's almost like if I ain't having a panic attack, which I've never had them, I actually had an episode of what felt like acid reflux. Like I took an antibiotic, right? I drank my water. It was the next to the last one. Nothing has been happening. All of a sudden, it felt like my throat wouldn't swallow something. You know what I mean? It felt like there was something there. And I looked it up online. I asked Google, just, for curiosity's sake, can a person have a reflux episode even though they don't have that? And it said yes. So I don't know, but that's what made me have to leave the store. I had most of what I had, and I had to leave the store, and I just don't know. I can laugh about it now, y'all, but I don't know what's going on. So I started off with these because I opened them up and took 2 in the store. I did get the cornbread mix that I needed. I got this yesterday. Now, I don't really like, this is the cornbread that everybody's household is seeing, and it's good. It is. But this is the one where you need milk and eggs. When I got to be an adult, I bought the Martha White when it was in the red box. All you needed for that cornbread was a half a cup of water. It said you could use milk or water. I did water, and it was just as good as this Jiffy because Jiffy is a household name. And with this one, you need the milk and you need the butter. And if you are young, like when I was 21 and I bought this, not knowing I needed all that, and I didn't have any eggs in the house that day, I had to go get some. With the Martha White, all you need is water. And if you put a teaspoon of sugar in there, it tastes just like this. But I did go ahead and get this, and I'm only going to use one because I just wanted to get two just in case. I might use both of them. But this is really good. But they don't have the Martha White. I think Martha White started trying to compete with Jiffy, even though they shouldn't have. And now their mix requires milk and eggs. So I haven't seen the one that requires water in quite some years. But I made sure that I got this vinegar. In my day, it was Indian summer vinegar. But I like this vinegar, apple cider vinegar for the greens. Not the white one. I've had the white one before. It's not the same thing to me. It's like when you have your favorite comfort food, you want it like you know it to be made. So I got this, and I actually put those big spoons that you cook with. I put one of those of vinegar in my greens eventually, which I'll probably do that later on tonight because I got them back on the stove cooking now. I went ahead and got this syrup. I wanted to get, is it Hungry Jack? Between Hungry Jack and the other one, I've had it before with the little handle and it says you can put it in the microwave. I just got this one because I went back to the store today to get the sausage that I did not get yesterday. I got two more of these. One is opened in the fridge. I think they only had two there, the two that I said was there before. And these chips were supposed to be $2.99. They rung up at $3.99. I didn't care. I wanted to try the honey barbecue lays. I wish both of these were ruffled, because these are good. I've had these before. And I wanted to try these hot sauce one because Hare's, that snack, this Herrs, they make a good hot sauce chip. So I'm going to give these a try. Now, I won't be trying these right away. I wanted to get some lunch meat, but they didn't have any. So then I got some coffee. A lot of the Folgers brand and other brands, they were $5.99. I noticed they're not anymore. Then they went up to $8, and now they're $10. And now that we are weeks away from the major holidays, all the way up to New Year's, any coffee that I want right now, y'all, I understand. Any creamers, I need to get them now because these stores are going to be devoid of coffees at holiday time. Because when I had my kids at home and we had company come in, I already knew September and October I was getting the coffees together, the creamers together, the pancake mixes together, waffle mixes and things like that, because you're cooking. If you have a big family, and I know even though it was me and my kids, I spent all of December cooking. The only things that I would get a few days before were eggs and potatoes and onions and tomatoes, because those things you could find. Things like your coffees and your favorite candies and cookies, get them now because they won't be around the closer we get to the holiday. So I did go ahead and get the McCafe one because I didn't want to spend $10 on Keurig coffee today, but I will later because there were a lot of ground coffees I seen that I like. And of course, all the Folgers. It was odd today, y'all. Why was the Starbucks Keurig coffee $8.99 and all the other coffee was $10? So this intrigued me right here when it said fragrant and creamy and sweet. So I'm going to make a cup of this later. I just went ahead and got these two. I've had this blue raspberry in their little specialty packs, and they have it in this little pack now. Usually, y'all, this wouldn't have made it home, but I just got it just to be getting it. And they had two of these. I was going to get my Pringles, right? They only had two. They were $2.19, so I bought the last two that they had. And then I wanted to try these. These are like my coconut ones, but I wanted to give these a shot. And this is the brown sugar for the glaze that I'm going to make. Now, I found a man on YouTube, right? He was making a glaze. He said something about brown sugar and butter. And then I might add some Worcestershire sauce, but I'm thinking, y'all, I'm going to add a little bit of my Bacardi Black. I'm thinking, because he said something about adding Hennessy or bourbon if you wanted to. He did butter and brown sugar. He said you can add a little bit of orange juice or orange zest, which I have Sunny D. I don't think I want to put that in there. And then what else did it call for, y'all? I think a little bit of mustard, which I have mustard. But I think it was mainly the brown sugar and the butter. And it was something else that he had that I do have. So we're going to see. But I just want to make a nice little light glaze for this ham. And then, y'all, I finally found my wash. This is what I lost in the apartment. Turns out it was in the middle of one of my carts. So I found this, and then I looked for this because I want to use this. My problem is, as I've said before, that I've shared with y'all, I tend to move something thinking I'll remember where it is, and then some kind of way it all gets separated, and I hate that. So as I've gotten these carts, I've been trying to keep everything together, and anything that I've stored, I've been trying to keep it together. I don't know where my butter is now, and that was something I could see the whole time. I have a large one open. So I'm going to find it because this is what I want to be using this weekend while I work. And I have a lot of the 59 butter from when I got the little sample. I bought a big one, and then I had, I think, a small one. Because I'm looking at the big one, but it's unopened in the jar. I have the jar that I shared with you all, and I need to find that and keep it together so I can use this. But let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I'm going to share with you my greens really quickly, and then we're going to share my Victoria's Secret stuff that came in today and what I found yesterday. So here is this pot. This pot is nice for these greens. And as you can see, this right here is more than enough. Now what I've done so far is I put some maple bacon in here, and I'm going to let that cook through. And I put a little bit of my maple bacon grease in here. And the salt pork, I'm going to see if I can find pieces of that to share with you what I meant when I said that I think it's been sliced up. See that piece right there? It was a block when I put it in there, right? It was a block because it was frozen. But as it's cooked in these greens, see how that's separated? So I guess they pre-slice it. And I kind of hate that now, y'all, because I am used to things being how they always were. And back in the day, you got a block of salt pork. It had the skin on it. It had the meat in between the fat pieces. And that's what I'm used to. That's what I thought that I had. When I went looking for ham hocks, they said they had ham shanks. And I knew that wasn't the same thing. I even looked that up on Google. And like I said, when I found the ham hocks, they were 3 to 4 in a pack. And I just need one. One will season this pot of greens and a pot a little bit bigger. That's all that I need. And they didn't have any to give them to me separate. So I'm going to keep what I got. I'll add some vinegar in here. I shake a little bit of salt, very little because I've already got the salt pork. I do just a sprinkling of seasoning salt, and then I do a teaspoon of sugar. And we're back over here. But I wanted to say I grew up in a household of an old-fashioned cooks that made everything from scratch. And I seen a teaspoon of sugar go in things that I never ever would have thought that you put sugar in. But it works. Like if you do sugar and cinnamon in your chili, I've seen a teaspoon of sugar go in potato salad, and I make mine like that. It's not sweet at all. I have seen a teaspoon of sugar go into beans. You know what I mean? I've just seen that happen along the way. And that's kind of how I cook because that's what I seen. I was very young when the one that raised me and cooked like that passed away. I was 10. But I try to do every single thing that I remember seeing her do. Even right down to the chess pie recipe that I use called for cornmeal. The newer ones called for flour. Somebody argued me up and down there was no such thing as cornmeal, and I said yes it is. A coworker gave me a recipe, and then I found that creamy chess pie that I shared with y'all that I gave the coworker a recipe. And when I do make food, I get compliments on it, and people tell me it tastes old school in a good way. So now to my goodies. Y'all already see this right here. I have this, but my cream is older. And I like this, but it's not as fragrant to me as this is. But this is old and I need to get rid of it. I cannot find my lotion, but I do have the lotion and I have the mist. But I wanted to share with you, if you missed out on this, this is going to be a nice alternative. The lotion is the consistency of a gel cream. I mentioned that once they introduced their new pistachio with that sugar one that they had. They came out with that pistachio in that pretty green and pink ombre bottle. Now right here, as you can see the notes, the wild raspberry jam and then fresh raspberry are the most similar of the 3 notes of each one. Then we have warm fluffy donut in the Bath and Body Works one, and we have almond batter in the pink lotion, and then we have powdered sugar and powdered sugar. Those are the exact same notes. So this does smell nice. Now what I did do was I got an extra of one of these mists so that I can take it back should this jam cookie come online or it's in the store, because it's not in the store. This wasn't in the store at all. Everything else was without its lotions. So these two right here are similar but not the same. So like I said, I'm going to be getting the mist to that as soon as it comes to light. So I did get the biscotti. It has sweet pistachio, pink sugar, and vanilla glaze. I got the lotion to that. These are unopened. I did open this lotion up, okay? So that's how come I know what it smells like. And it does smell good. But it wasn't super strong without the mist the way that I could smell this one. It was new. And like I said, I need to get rid of this and find my lotion because look, this is that consistency that we know it needs to go. So now that I've pulled it out, I can do that. So then, as you know, I've already shared this, but I got the correct lotion. And I believe I've opened this up too. Let me see. No, I haven't. I'm wrong. But I have been spraying that spray and I love it. So I was wearing this yesterday. And I do want the rest of these. If there are 3 more sets and they're not online yet, they're not in our store, I am going to get the rest of this. And I do have the one coming with the vanilla, the marshmallow, and the cherry. I'm still on the fence about it, but I wanted to get it home. And because it's priced the way that it's priced, if I don't like it, I can take a piece or all of it back, and then I'll just put it towards another purchase because I plan on ordering, like I said, the rest of this. There is a lotion to this sugar plum. Now, I didn't mess with the spray. I wasn't crazy about the salted caramel and the cola and the, what was it, the candy, something candy spray. But then again, it takes me a minute sometimes because I be in those malls after being someplace else, or if I'm tired, it makes a difference. So I plan to revisit them again. I did not spray the sugar plum spray at all, but based on the oil, I like the way this smells. It is sweet-like, and it would smell any variety of how you think sugar plum smells. This smells along those lines for me. And then I went ahead and got this one, which is the coconut cream. And these were the 2 mists that I sprayed in the store and knew that I liked them enough to go ahead and order the full set. And since the full set was online, that's what I did. And here we have puffed pastry, whipped buttercream, and salted caramel. And I like these a lot. Now, they're not heavy by any means. To me, this one was the most fragrant of the ones that I tried. So I'm just waiting for the rest of it to come. And I just wanted to share this little bit with you. And I hope my food turns out really, really good because I'm excited about it. And like I said, this is the closest I've come to making food in a long time. I have made pork chops on the stove. I haven't fried chicken here. I've baked my chicken, but y'all, like I said, I got my little skillet over there. It's just my space is so small. I need to figure out where I'm going to put that pot. And that glass lid is heavy and it's pure glass. So I can only pray, y'all, that I don't do anything to damage that lid because I love having pots with lids. And these are the only 2 covered pots that I have right now. These 2 that I just purchased. So that was it, y'all. I just wanted to share this little bit with you. And until the next time, everyone have a fantastic day.